Okay, so we're diving into some pretty heavy stuff today.
Yeah, definitely a tough one.
The fatal shooting of Brian Thompson
The CEO of UnitedHealthcare.
right outside his hotel in New York City.
It's a story that's really shaken people up.
Big time. And you know what makes this case so...
So gripping.
Yeah, gripping is a good word for it.
It just feels like something out of a movie, you know?
Totally. And I think what really gets everyone is that it seems like such a targeted attack.
Oh, absolutely not random at all.
And the fact that the suspect is still out there.
Yeah, that adds another layer of anxiety to it all.
For sure. So let's just dive right in and break it all down.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So first off, this wasn't just some random act of violence.
No, not at all. Everything points to this being very carefully planned out.
Okay. So paint the picture for us. It all went down December 4th.
Early morning, just before 7 a.m.
Wow. So Thompson's on his way to...
An investor conference.
At the New York Hilton Midtown.
Right in the heart of Manhattan.
On 6th Avenue, near West 54th Street, to be exact.
Busy area, tons of people around.
Which makes it even more crazy that this could happen.
It's almost like the suspect knew exactly when and where to strike.
Like they were waiting for him.
It's possible, and it wasn't a mugging gone wrong either, you know?
How can you tell?
Well, the way it went down, single shot to the chest, very precise, very efficient.
Jeez. That sends chills down my spine.
It does make you wonder what kind of person could do something like that.
And hold that much resentment towards him.
What was the motive here?
So let's talk about Brian Thompson himself a little bit.
Okay.
So he was 50 years old, had been CEO since 2021.
But he'd been with United Health Group for much longer.
Yeah, he climbed the ladder pretty quickly, right?
He joined back in 2004, worked his way up.
And actually, he even headed their government programs division for a while.
That's right.
Which is pretty interesting, given what happened.
Yeah, you have to wonder if there are any connections there.
And here's another thing that caught my eye. He was a CPA before getting into healthcare.
Oh, wow. That's not the typical background you see for a healthcare CEO.
Right. So how might that have shaped his approach?
Well, CPAs are all about the numbers, you know, very meticulous, very focused.
So you're thinking maybe he brought that same mindset to UnitedHealthcare?
Possibly could have been very data-driven, focused on efficiency.
And maybe not so much on the emotional side of things?
Perhaps, yeah, which might have rubbed some people the wrong way.
Especially if he was making tough decisions based purely on the bottom line.
You're starting to see how that could tie into a potential motive, right?
Absolutely.
Authorities are definitely exploring all angles.
Like any controversial decisions that might have created enemies.
Exactly, either within the company or from outside stakeholders.
Makes you wonder if someone felt like he wronged them somehow.
We'll see what the investigation uncovers.
All right, let's move on to the suspect description then.
Okay, what do we know?
Witnesses described him as a white male, about 6 feet tall, slim build.
Okay, pretty standard so far.
But here's the thing. He was wearing a light jacket, but with a black mask, black gloves, black and white sneakers.
And a gray backpack?
Yes. Didn't want to leave that out.
Like the contrast that's strange, right?
Exactly, like, why the light jacket with all that black gear?
It sticks out in your mind for sure.
Makes you wonder if it was intentional.
Almost like he wanted to be remembered.
Or recognized by someone specific.
Maybe a message for someone?
I mean, those details, they really stick with you.
They do, and that's what investigators are hoping for.
That someone will remember seeing this guy.
And those details might be what jogs their memory.
Right, or helps them stand out on security footage.
It's all about those little things.
Okay, and the escape route adds another piece to the puzzle here.
Tell me about it.
So he runs east on 6th Avenue, disappears down an alley,
And then?
hops on a bicycle, and rides into Central Park.
Wow, sounds like he knew where he was going.
Right, like he had it planned out.
But hold on, does that necessarily mean he was super familiar with the area, though?
That's a good point.
I mean, Central Park is huge. He could have just picked a route that was quick and offered cover.
To disappear into the crowd.
Exactly. Central Park's perfect for that.
But they did find a cell phone in that alley.
Ah, interesting development.
Yeah, hopefully forensics can pull something useful from it.
Well, they can do amazing things these days.
Like what?
I mean, everything, location data, deleted messages, even internet searches.
So if he searched for info on Thompson's schedule or the layout of the area.
That'd be pretty damning evidence of premeditation.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a digital trail that's hard to erase completely.
Okay, so the million-dollar question here.
What's that?
What was the motive?
Yeah, that's the big one, isn't it?
The one everyone wants to know.
It's still early, but investigators are focusing on a few key areas.
Like what?
Well, were there any prior threats against Thompson?
I haven't heard anything about that.
Me neither, but it's something they have to look into.
Okay, what else?
Disgruntled employees, former employees with a grudge.
Oh, yeah. That's always a possibility.
especially in a high-stakes corporate environment.
Right, where people can feel passed over or mistreated.
Exactly. And then there's the financial angle.
Meaning,
Did Thompson make any decisions that impacted shareholders or competitors?
you're thinking maybe someone felt like he cost them a lot of money?
Could be a powerful motive for revenge.
And that's where that CPA background might come into play.
Right. Maybe a decision that made sense financially but had negative consequences for certain individuals.
And they decided to take matters into their own hands.
It's a scary thought, but we have to consider all possibilities.
Absolutely. So we've got to look beyond the surface here.
Understand the ripple effects of Thompson's actions.
And see if we can figure out why someone would want to do this.
It's like a puzzle with a lot of missing pieces.
All right, what about UnitedHealth Group? How are they handling all of this?
Well, they canceled their investor day, which is understandable.
Yeah, I can't imagine trying to carry on with business as usual after something like this.
No, of course not. And they released statements expressing shock and sadness.
Yeah, I bet everyone in the company is reeling from this.
Absolutely. And they're cooperating fully with the NYPD.
Good to hear that.
It's important that they're transparent and helpful in the investigation.
Totally. I mean, a man lost his life here. A family is grieving.
A whole company is dealing with the aftermath.
It's a tragedy all around, and the manhunt is still ongoing.
It is, and there's a $10,000 reward for information leading to an arrest.
Wow, that's significant.
They're hoping it will encourage people to come forward.
It's amazing how one little detail could crack the whole case open.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's the smallest thing that makes all the difference.
So just to recap what we know so far, targeted attack.
High-profile victim.
Suspect who vanished into thin air.
And a motive that's still shrouded in mystery.
Exactly. It's like a giant jigsaw puzzle, and we're trying to piece it all together.
But what I find particularly fascinating is the level of planning here.
What do you mean?
Well, the escape route, the clothing, the precision of the attack.
It does seem very calculated.
It does, doesn't it? Not a spur-of-the-moment kind of thing?
No, not at all. So this raises the question. What does this attack on such a prominent CEO tell us about the security risks that corporate leaders face today?
Ooh, that's a big one.
It's a scary thought, right?
Definitely makes you think about the world we live in.
Where even those at the top aren't immune to violence.
And the lengths that some people will go to for revenge or whatever their motive might be.
So as the investigation continues, we have to stay vigilant.
Just pay attention to the news.
And if you have any information, no matter how small,
contact the authorities immediately.
You could be the key to solving this whole thing.
It's true, every piece of information helps.
Exactly.
It's like putting together a puzzle, one piece at a time.
And hopefully we can bring justice for Brian Thompson and his family.
That's the goal.
All right, well, thanks for breaking all of this down with me.
Of course, anytime.
Stay tuned, everyone. We'll keep you updated as this case develops.
And in the meantime, stay safe out there.
And be careful who you make mad.
Especially if they're a CPA.